How's it? Today is February 26th. It is Wednesday. Today I did some hang power cleans, some RDLs, pulse frontal class singles, and then a bunch of other accessories. I talked to Steve earlier today. I wasn't sure what he wanted me to do on Wednesdays because kind of the discussion we had at the beginning of the week was more that Tuesdays and Fridays were going to be heavy days, and I wasn't sure if he intended for me to execute any of the lifts at all during the week, because it sounded like he said we're going to do a bunch of stuff that would be variations of the lift, and I wasn't sure if that meant doing like a jerk for like a clean jerk work, or like an overhead squat for snatch work, because that's kind of what I did on Monday for snatch. I did the snatch push press plus the overhead squat, and I think what his actual intention was to keep me doing each lift at least once a week. So later this week, I believe he does want me to snatch in some capacity, and like I'm not opposed to it. I'm not married to the idea of not doing it. So whatever works. So today I hit all of these hang power clean triples plus one power jerk. I was supposed to do about 10 sets total, and 5 of those 10 sets should have been at the top set. So last week I did 205, and I ran into that big issue on Friday with my upper back with 205. And then today I was supposed to do 210. I was a little worried because, again, like on Friday, it just felt terrible. So I was warming up for it today. I didn't notice any pain or any laxities in my upper back, so that was a little confidence building. And then I ended up being able to do all of them with no pain. So here's my first one. I want to say my last one was my best one. I just felt a little more snappy, a little closer to the bar, a little more powerful. But none of them were super terrible like Friday was for the 205s. Yeah, so I what I've been focusing on is still the same, more of the same thing, where it's like keep my chest on top and then pull through the extension with my upper back. And I kind of focus more on that technique cue towards the end of these lifts, because I was more concerned about if my back was going to hurt or not. Um, so maybe that's why the last 2 sets were um, of the better capacities. I was looking at my bar path on the power jerks as well when I was moving in between sets. Typically, my bar path on the power jerk is very straight, and um, today, it wasn't not straight. It was a little bit from in front of my center of gravity to on top of my center of gravity. But usually, I tend to move around the bar instead of having the bar move to me. I'm not sure if that's a function of it being heavier or not. I think I should try my best to keep consistent. So here's the last set. That's easily the best first rep I've done. Second rep looked pretty good. Yeah, and then the third set was also pretty good. Yeah, so you can kind of see the bar shifts from kind of on my toes to over my heels. After that, I did some RDLs. Steve told me to do about 20 total reps. Um, but I ended up doing a 5x5. He gave me a range of 5 sets of either 3 to 5 reps, and he said 90 to 95% of my best clean, but I was a little adamant about keeping it to 5 reps. So I ended up not actually hitting 90% of my best clean. So if I'd said 133 is my best clean, which is, what is that, like 290 something, 292, and then 10% off of that is still like 268 or 260, something like that. I can't add too well. But I ended up doing the 245. My goal here is to make sure that I pull through my hamstrings up, um, instead of let my hips just drive through. So I stay on top of the bar for a little bit longer, and it keeps my lower back straighter. Another thing that I learned that I started to do when I was doing these movements was my upper back. I would kind of just let go and then let that get me to my range of motion. But I decided to just dig in and be more strict so I could get to a better position. These were included because last week the clean pulls were a little questionable with my upper back, and like in October it was definitely a no-go for the clean pulls. So these are kind of a lighter way to get lower back loading. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how these are working. Thanks, Juan, for the cues and the good eyes. After that, I did some pause front squats. These are intended to be kind of a way to loosen up my legs from everything I did yesterday and today. Um, so I worked through a few singles. My goal today was to do 315, but if it wasn't in the cards, then I wouldn't have been upset. And so I ended up hitting 305. My posture was negligibly bad, not the greatest, but it wasn't terrible. And so here's basically my first set of one that I would count as like a real set. On Friday I did that for two, and so um, I knew I was going to be able to do it for one. Here, I do get a little lean forward, but it's not sore on my upper back, so that was nice for me. And then here's my final set, 305. This is a little challenging. Pause was a little bit longer. I did hit the hooks, and I was very lightheaded here. I don't remember how most of the set went, to be honest. And then I did some overhead press. This is again for kind of a pump for to loosen up my like overall like shoulder stability and everything. So 3 sets of 10 here. After that, I moved into dips, and then I did 90s for the dumbbell overhead walk, which is a very big step for me. It's my second time doing 90s, and so I should be able to do 100 very soon. So yeah.